The night was anything but calm. Despite the usual quiet of Wadi al-Noor, a town that normally drifts to sleep on the faint murmur of wind sliding through the palm trees. I was lying in bed, trying to escape the exhaustion of a long day, when my phone vibrated on the bedside table at exactly 3:12 a.m. I didn't understand what was happening at first, but the ringtone alone was enough to jolt my heart awake before my eyes. I reached for the phone with a trembling hand. On the screen, Wadi al-Noor Rural Hospital. It felt as though someone had pulled the air straight out of my lungs. I answered instantly. The doctor's voice was flat, professional, yet heavy with a restrained urgency. He told me my sister, Lena, was in stable condition, but she had suffered severe hypothermia and extensive bruising. They had found her in a drainage canal outside the city. I couldn't comprehend how or why. My body moved on its own. I don't remember how I grabbed my abaya, how I drove, or how many traffic lights I ran through. The only thing echoing in my head was the doctor's voice repeating the same words again and again until I reached the hospital. When I saw her lying on the bed, her face was the color of ashes. Her blue eyes were sunken in a way that cut straight through the soul. Black-like marks stained her arms, and deep, terrifying bruises covered her chest. I stepped closer. She tried to open her eyes. Her voice was barely a breath. He pushed me. He was laughing. He left me to die. I froze. Could it be that Raid al-Amiri, her husband, the wealthy contractor with the polished public image, had done this? Something inside me shattered, only for something older and darker to rise from beneath the ruins. Because the truth I'd hidden from everyone, even from Lena, was that I wasn't an administrative employee like I pretended to be. I was a military investigations officer, a senior investigator who had spent 20 years digging into corruption files, hunting the wolves that hid in the dark. I knew how they thought, how they lied, how they broke. And that night, I realized the next wolf on my list had revealed himself. His name was Raid al-Amiri. When Lena woke again, her speech came in fragments, each word carved out of her pain. She told me he had been drinking, along with his father. They spoke about something they called the family strength test. Then he grabbed her violently, dragged her to the car, drove her to a deserted dirt road, and shoved her toward the drainage pit. "If you deserve to live," he told her coldly, "come back on your own." Then he left. She crawled, bleeding and freezing, until a shepherd found her and called for help. As she spoke, a fire ignited in my chest, not anger, but something far deeper, something like a vow carved in steel. I didn't go to Raid's mansion, though every cell in my body burned for confrontation. Because I do not take revenge, I deliver justice. I drove straight to the Military Investigations Directorate and requested that my dormant clearance be reactivated, a privilege reserved only for high-risk cases. No one questioned me. Within hours, my full access was restored. I sat before the national database, typed his name, Raid al-Amri, and his black record unfolded before me. Not one scandal, an entire chain. Rigged mega construction contracts, embezzled government funds, bribery, forged documents, shell companies, secret financial transfers to unknown entities, old reports from female employees claiming abuse, cover-ups, administrative shielding, audio recordings of Raid and his father discussing eliminating the women who don't obey the family. Lena was not the first. but I swore she would be the last. At dawn, 3 government bodies moved simultaneously on the Al Amri Strategic Projects headquarters: financial audit teams, military investigators, and a cybercrime unit. I watched from a distance. When Raid arrived, he found soldiers and investigators overrunning the building. Devices were being encrypted, documents seized, employees questioned, computers confiscated. He shouted, "Who did this? Who dared touch my company?" No one answered him. His kingdom of sand was collapsing. I returned to the hospital. Lena was awake, waiting, as if sensing the storm had already begun. I held her hand and said quietly, firmly, "The man who hurt you has fallen." The TV screen flickered with breaking news. Raid Al-Amri and his father arrested on charges of financial corruption, abuse, exploitation of influence, and tampering with government contracts. Lena's tears slid down her cheeks, not from pain, but relief. Weeks passed. Raid tried everything: bribes, threats, political pressure, but he didn't realize who he was facing. Not an ordinary woman. A woman who knew every loophole, every door, every code the wolves used. In the end, he was sentenced to long years in prison and stripped of most of his assets. Lena returned to a safe home and finally breathed freely again. Everyone believed the case was over. They were wrong. Men like Raid never work alone. They have partners, protectors, shadows who operate in the dark. And as long as my clearance remains active, and the master file was still open under the title, "The Grand Family Corruption Network," then the hunt was far from finished. Every accomplice, every silent coward, every predator hiding behind a human mask would face me. This was not the end of the story. It was only the beginning. Because in a world where wolves wear the faces of men, I am no longer afraid of them. They are the ones who should fear me.